welcome to the Education and Pupil Services Committee in-person and virtual meeting for May 23rd, 2023. The meeting of the Education and Pupil Services Committee will please come to order. The district posted this evening's agenda to board docs at least 24 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting. Is there a motion to approve that previously posted agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any amendments to offer?
There are none.
Thank you. The agenda has been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please signify by saying I oppose and state your name for the record. Those abstaining, please signify by saying I abstain and state your name for the record. The motion carried. I will now turn over the Education and Pupil Services Committee agenda to Co-Chair Director Williams.
Thank you, President Brown. Dr. Kelly, will you please begin with an overview of your agenda items for this evening, and please go right into the first item, please.
Absolutely. So good evening, everyone. Tonight we have two informational items followed by some policies that will require board action on tonight's agenda. The first item this evening is the Wellness Policy Annual Update, and Dr. Brian Yerson is here to give this presentation for this evening. So Brian?
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Good evening, Board President Brown, Vice President Fields, school board members, Superintendent McGarry, administrators, staff, and community members. I am Brian Yerson, our Director of Pupil Services. I'll be presenting to you this evening concerning our district's Wellness Committee. Our district Wellness Committee met 4 times throughout the course of the year, and we corresponded frequently via email. I would like to thank the members of our team for their participation and support throughout the course of the year. Those members are Board President Brown, Dr. Sakella Coles, Dr. Matt Alloway, Dr. Chris Puglisi, Nina Tyre, Dimitri Samda, Melissa Hirsch, Beth Riches, Jen Westrop, Heidi Einhorn, Kerry Ann Sebro O'Neill, Wendy Elgart, and Tom Benedetti. I'm going to start with our where our team ended, and I had a joke here about understanding by design and starting from the back, but I'll spare you all with that. The last item that our team discussed and reviewed was our triennial wellness assessment. All LEAs participating in the National School Lunch Program are required to assess their wellness policy once every 3 years. Our submission is due on this June 30th. There are several points of pride that should be highlighted for the board. Our committee featured a wide array of stakeholders. It included administrators, food service staff, school health professionals, parents, school board member, PE and health teachers, students, and a member of our public. Our wellness policy has been updated to reflect pertinent information. Our school board has approved updated language in our policy. For example, our policy now states we discourage extended periods of inactivity, 2 hours or more for students, and that we provide physical activity breaks in the classroom. To provide these breaks, our teachers throughout the district are offering physically creative brain breaks throughout the school day at our district schools. All 12 components of the physical activity section of the assessment are now included in the district's policy. In the prior triennial assessment, there were only 3 pieces of these items that were included. Additionally, hand sanitizing stations are prevalent throughout our buildings to provide students with the opportunity to clean their hands throughout the day and before meals. And during the COVID-19 pandemic, we provided healthy food and recipes for the meals that we were able to provide to our families. And then where do we need to get better? Encouraging students to engage in physical activities. And we spoke about that tremendously in the first piece of this meeting tonight. We need to continue to look at ways to get students engaged in physical activities before, during, and after school. We need to work with students to help them realize the importance of taking breaks from their screens and to help them want to engage with others in a face-to-face manner. This bullet point isn't a part of the wellness policy assessment tool, but it is something that the wellness team believes is very important. Additionally, we need to look at ways we can promote positive nutritional messages to our students. Our Wellness Committee had several initiatives. We ensured the completion of the triennial assessment, which is now posted on our website. We provided input to Aramark concerning food selection. During our 4 meetings throughout the course of the year, Aramark provided samples of food, and we were able to provide them feedback. And then, sometimes they incorporated what we ate, the things that we liked, into the meals that we provided for our children, or they provided for our children. To attempt to tackle our students engaging in additional physical activities and taking breaks from their screens, our team created a wellness week. We had students sign a pledge where they would work for the week of May 8th to limit their screen time and engage in more physical activities. To support this initiative, our team developed 4 flyers to send to students, staff, and families on the benefits of physical activity, the importance of sleep. We highlighted our community parks and information about mental health awareness. Our team also discussed and reviewed the staff wellness initiatives that occurred during the course of our school year. And here's a list of these initiatives. Nina Tyre took a big role in creating these and putting them out to staff, collecting the data, putting that back out to staff, providing awards, motivation for our staff members to get involved to support employee wellness. Those initiatives include, we had flu shots that were offered at district buildings. We have the Employee Assistant Program, mindfulness and meditation promotion, Wear Pink Day, Maintain But Don't Gain Weight challenge from mid-November to early January, Spring Walking Challenge, National Walk at Lunch Day, biometric screenings, Wear Red Day, and then the well-being newsletters that were administered 3 times throughout the year. Any questions?
Not really a question, but a comment. Just want to commend you for your implementation of it. I know this was a new endeavor for you and your new role, and you picked up right where Dr. Polisi's left off. And I wasn't able to attend a lot of them due to a work meeting, but I just want to commend you for all your hard work that you did. And this is those meetings, if any other board members can attend them in the future, even as a one-time thing, they're incredibly encouraging. I normally feel guilty after I attend those meetings and go get a salad for lunch after I attend those, at least for that day. But they're encouraged. They're definitely motivating and encouraging. So thank you for your work, for you and everyone else on the committee. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for this, and thank you for all of your efforts. I'm looking at this really impressive list of employee wellness initiatives, and I really did appreciate the wellness week that we did with the students. I'm just wondering if we can maybe have sort of more of those initiatives spread out throughout the year for the students. In particular, I just noticed that National Walk and Bike to School Day is October 4th for this year. If maybe that could be an event that we could highlight and promote. I remember when we did the Safe to School routes, there was conversation about having paths, but also sort of having, I forget what they called it, like a train or something like that, getting kids to do it together. Because I know for some kids, it's maybe scary to walk by themselves, but if there's 5th graders walking with 1st graders, then the 1st graders would be safer and feel better. Anyway, I know I always feel terrible bringing anything to you all because I know how overloaded you already are. But October 4th, 2023 is far enough away that maybe we could make something more happen with that this year. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the suggestion.
I'm sorry, just want to interject. It's already on our master calendar, and it's already being planned. And Brian, sorry.
Any other questions from board members? Thank you, that's it.
So our second item on the agenda for this evening is a guidance audit review, which is an informational item. Mrs. Wendy Elgard will be presenting the K through 12 guidance audit report.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to present the K-12 Comprehensive Counseling Audit Report results. This audit was paid for out of the ARP ESSER funds. And we put out an RFP asking different organizations if they would like to conduct our audit, and we had two responses, one from the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit and the other from the Delaware County Intermediate Unit. And we chose the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit because it was a more comprehensive audit involving student service personnel. You'll see the credentials of the people that were there, a school psychologist, and a certified school counselor. The Delaware County Intermediate Unit at the time was in a state of transition and actually did not have a director of pupil services at the time, which they have since gotten. And both costs were exactly identical, actually, between both IUs. No one else responded to that RFP. So the timeline and process, it really was a very long and intensive audit. The two people that were mentioned in that last slide came and interviewed all 29 of our counselors, all of our building principals, as many assistant principals as they could, as well as our curriculum and instruction team. And they were able to observe counselors in school settings in various schools. They had each counselor fill out a time on task analysis and really track every single thing that they did for an entire week, all day for a week. So they used that and gave us the results of that. And then they had interviewed us as a team, an extensive interview, and then had 2 debriefing meetings with us as well. The essential questions that our team proposed to them are, what are the essential procedures, structures, and or systems that need to be in place for the counseling department K-12? What is the most effective use of a counselor's time? What are the essential job functions of a school counselor at every level? And what are the barriers for them completing their essential job functions? So the results of the audit showed that the strengths in our schools with our guidance staff were student support meetings were one of the things that they mentioned, that we had all of these different meetings, MDET meetings and SAP meetings and TILT and PBIS and SST meetings, and that our teams really work very well together, and including our guidance staff in that. The delivery of services, they particularly liked our house system and center system, where counselors at the secondary level move up with the students and really get to know them and their families. The cohesive counseling collaboration we have with outside agencies, again, thanks to ARP, ESSER, and ESSER 2, we've been able to bring in these outside agencies, and it's worked very seamlessly with our staff that way. And that our counseling staff, they mentioned over and over again, that our counseling staff is dedicated, they're devoted to the students, they're collegial with each other, with other staff in the building, and with their administration. And then on the next slide, they talked about recommendations. So some of their recommendations that we are currently working towards is continue working toward clearly defined standard operating procedures for all levels. We have had a considerable amount of turnover within the guidance department, and we're hoping that having, standard procedures that when people do come in the middle of the year or at the end of the year, that we have operating procedures that we can work with them on. Targeted professional development. We have a very extensive professional development calendar, and we're hoping to target more of the professional development that is geared specifically to things that a counselor would need. One of the things they mentioned is a need for a K-12 counselor coordinator, a full-time person that is dealing with that all day long. And Mr. Rogers mentioned that in his budget, that's one of the things that is hopefully in the budget. An update of the Chapter 339 plan yearly, which we do. So the Chapter 339 plan is just the K-12 guidance plan. So we update that. It includes new staff. All of our procedures are in there. They suggested adding additional counselors as much as we can based on the American School Counselors Association recommendation of 250 students to 1, which is hard to meet. Even in Delaware County, actually in Pennsylvania, it's closer to 354 to 1. So we're not really far off from the state average, but we do try to aim for that. And that to review counselor job descriptions with human resources and change anything, over time that guidance and counseling positions have evolved, and just to keep that up to date in human resources so that when someone applies, that it is the, exact position and job functions that they're doing day to day. And then next steps, pending board approval, we hope to add that full-time K-12 counseling supervisor position. And we also are going to add additional counselors at Primus and Aronimink, and that would give all of our schools a full-time counselor, which would be really, really wonderful. The funding for those two positions are through a PCCD grant that we applied for and received. Are there any questions about that audit?
Thank you. So I will ask my same question from earlier, based on us adding the counselors through the grant, the PCCD grant. I just want to make sure it's sustainable moving forward. Once the grant is over, we still want to keep those people in place. Is that?
Yeah,
I'm
I
looking
think
at
it's
Craig,
an excellent
too.
question. I think it is anticipated and had been discussed many times, but I think that it would go into the district budget after that.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. We can move on to the next agenda item.
The third agenda item for this evening, are policies. We have 6 policies on the agenda for this evening. 4 of them are dealing with home education, 2 which are new, brand new policies from PSBA, a number of changes with recommended languages to 137, and then 2 other policies are 201 and 206. So, Mr. Desnoyers?
Yes, so the changes to policies, or changes or introduction of policies 137, 137.1, 137.2, 137.3, as Dr. Kelly mentioned, those changes are due to changes in the school code, which is a portion of state law, dealing with home education or homeschooling, and that applies to a very small segment of our community. The other 2 policies, Policy 201, admission of students, that's being updated to conform to changes in the school code regarding compulsory school age, or the ages between which students must be enrolled in school. And Policy 206, assignment within district. The policy language itself is not being updated. What is being updated is the attachments, and they are being updated because with the merger of Sankow and Aronimink, the catchment areas from Sankow are being merged with the Aronimink catchment area to create a single catchment area for the merged school. So, thank you. That concludes my comments.
Are there any other questions from the board regarding the policies this evening? Thank you. We are now going to move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, Dr. Kelly, would you review your agenda for this evening?
Absolutely. So the first item was the wellness policy annual update. It was an informational update, and Dr. Brian Yersoon provided the work accomplished by the Wellness Committee over the 22-23 school year. And that was an informational item. The second item was the guidance audit review, where Mrs. Wendy Elgart provided the K-12 guidance audit that the school district, that was provided to the school district from the fall to the spring of the 22-23 school year, with some recommendations for moving forward with our counseling department. And that was an informational item. And then the third item were our policies, which will require board action to move them forward to a second reading during the June committee meeting. Or no, board meeting, June board meeting, sorry.
Thank you so much. President Brown, did you have a comment before I ask the
I
board?
just wanted to make sure there was no online comments about the agenda items. I think Dr. McGarry confirmed there were none. So.
I didn't see any, thank
Okay.
you. Now, I just wanted to ask the board if they'd like to move the action item from policies onto the June board meeting.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes? Okay, thank you. I want to turn the meeting back over to President Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. A motion is in order for the adjournment of the Education and Pupil Services Committee meeting. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.